clerk?
I am. That's a circle. We decided to come together. Get a lot of pages that we requested. I'm going to say probably about 300 pages. And then we also obtained like Parkersburg City input for
You went through every single document.
I went through everything that was called.
Everything
That the Freedom of Information Act gave to us.
And what's your thoughts, of what you've seen?
I'm appalled that someone can make that much money and is a financial director and keeps records of this. It's very disturbing. I'm a chef and I keep better records than this.
What kind of wrongdoing?
If you look over, I have one specific date where it was October. They went to Pennsylvania to
And I said, okay. I said, I can do that. And after we did that, I worked there.
Oh yeah, you went to school down then, because Al went to Vandy too. I went to Washington.
Jerry, you drinking heavy? Drinking heavy?
I'm up on the tape.
I already got
You
you.
didn't get me.
I already got you.
I know you
I
did.
got
I'm like,
everybody.
don't you dare, Sandra.
My wife doesn't enjoy me being on the news.
You know what?
For taking an interest in your community. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to familiarize citizens with governmental processes related to the petition to remove Mayor Bob Newell. We'll also talk about the city charter and how it might better provide for a system of checks and balances. We will also have experts on hand to discuss audits and voter registration. I'd like to thank some of our distinguished guests that are in the audience this evening. Wood County Clerk Mark Rhodes is with us, and he's been very helpful in teaching us how to register people to vote. Can we give him a hand of applause? We also have, as you'll notice, we have Council President J.R. Carpenter and Councilwoman Kim Cora, and also Councilman Roger Brown is in the audience, and I think they're all incredibly brave for showing up this evening. So let's welcome them. Now, I want to say before we get started, if you would like to have some of this information emailed to you, please just register at the table where you came in, and we'll make sure that the information is sent your direction. Before I introduce you to the panel and the committee, or the rest of the panel, I just want to set forth a few ground rules for tonight's discussion. Now, if you're familiar with RCNN, you probably already know my rules, but we're looking forward to a lively, family-friendly conversation. We're assuming that the affair is old news. We're looking for ways to heal the city. If you wish to speak with someone about the documentation of the finances as they pertain to the affair, some committee members are prepared to have that conversation and to answer your questions. We would just rather not do it as a large group because that is not our purpose here. This is not an opportunity to attack the mayor, members of council, or members of the committee. Since we're not here to discuss the affair, I'm going to ask you to keep your comments clear of any salacious or unnecessarily aggressive or hateful talk. Be decent and respectful, just do what your grandmother taught you to do. We are going to focus on moving forward. Now, in order to maintain order, individuals who cannot abide by these rules will be asked to leave. We'll have 4 short presentations on the topics at hand before opening the floor to a question and answer session. So before we begin, I've introduced you to our council members who are on the panel. I also want to introduce you to Christy Walcott and Craig Roberts, both of the committee. Now, some of you are curious about the other members of the committee. So if you're on the committee, could you stand or raise your hand so that we can acknowledge you? These are people who have put their efforts, their time, their gifts, their resources into having this meeting for you this evening. And I have to tell you that I have never probably observed in my life such a diverse group of people coming together for a common cause. It's just absolutely amazing how this is all unfolded without being planned. These people just jumped aboard of their own accord and took on responsibilities, and you can see the results already. So I'm very proud of what the committee's been able to accomplish, and I hope that you are too. Now, the committee is responsible, of course, for things holding together. First of all, we'll open with a few remarks about the committee from Craig Roberts.
First of all, I'd like to welcome everybody here this evening. We all would much rather be in a different place this evening for sure. Thanks for taking time to be in here. Just to tell you about the committee is a group of concerned citizens made up of multiple genders and multiple affiliations. We have members that are Republican, Democrat, Independent, and no affiliation. So just to make it clear, we have every affiliation in this group, so this is not a political tactic. The committee started when strong suspicions arose in the city's financial system due to apparent affair by the city's mayor and financial director. When we asked the local government to assist us in making things right, and the citizens were blown off, we knew it was going to take a strong voice of concerned citizens to make things happen. So here we all are together, sharing the same goals, searching for the same answers, and the same changes in our local government. This is just a smaller part of a much bigger problem. What has been uncovered by the committee is substandard checks and balances for the city and extremely questionable spending practices by the mayor and financial director. Currently, the charter is made up of a strong mayor and a weak council. It is our goal to switch the power to the city council where there will be more checks and balances and be able to represent the voice of the people at a more personal level. One of our goals is to speak with a louder voice and demand answers from the very people that we elected to office. We want to encourage every citizen of Parkersburg to no longer fear big local government and assume your voice doesn't matter. Folks, it is time to get involved with your local government meetings and bring on changes that you expect. This is our town, and they work for us. So let's all work together to bring strength and integrity back to the city of Parkersburg.
Members of the committee have been working on becoming experts on how our government is run. And a part of that is, of course, the audit process. So Al Collins is going to say a few words about the different types of audits that we'll be talking about this evening and the different types of audits that our city council members are looking at. Oh, this is Al, Committee of One.
I'm here tonight to talk to you about an audit. Now, the reason the audit is important, it's important for you to understand. Council wants an audit, okay? The mayor wants a different kind of audit. It gets, if you educate yourself a little bit, you'll know what you want. I'll explain a little bit. There's three different types. There's a procedural audit. That audit means a testing of whether controls are in place, and followed evaluating the effectiveness of design, implementation of internal controls to detect and prevent material misstatement. This type of audit is what the state does every year. So it's already done every year. It does not look at the numbers and the balances as it looks at the procedure and records that are being kept. There's also a P card audit, also known as a purchase card audit. This, by definition, examines the purchases of credit cards and looks for many misused purchases by unauthorized personnel. This is a type of audit that the mayor is asking for. It skims statements to see if they are unauthorized purchases. Once again, this type of audit does not deal with numbers and balances. Then there's a forensic audit, an examination, an evaluation of a firm or individual's financial information for the use as evidence in court. The forensic audit can be conducted in order to prosecute a party for fraud, embezzlement, or other financial claims. This audit is very in-depth scientific audit. This type will look at procedure, purchases, as well as balances and the legitimacy of receipts, purchases. This is the audit that City Council is asking for. Our understanding is it will cost about $8,600. This type of in-depth audit is admissible in court. Now, with that being said, that was a lot. There's a council meeting tomorrow night, and I am so proud of how many people have been showing up in the last few meetings. I'm about to bust. I have had people ridicule me. A lot of you have seen me in my YouTube videos and running my mouth on the internet. That's what brought this up. Keep it up. Keep doing it. It's been called fodder. It's been called lies. It's been called all kinds of things. Keep doing that. But this council meeting tomorrow night, make a statement. Fill that room till I have to stand, and I will stand there till I pass out. Okay? Fill that room. But more importantly, the meetings I've been going to, people are not walking up to the microphone. You've seen a few. Put a line of people to that microphone. Ask for a forensic audit. If you want a copy of that, it's over there on that table. And if every single one of you walk up and use up every second of that time asking for a forensic audit and it does not pass, what does that say? Thank you.
Next, we're going to talk just a little bit about voter registration. Christy, if you'd like to make a few comments. Of course, our county clerk can attest to how just a few votes can make a difference. So I really hope that every one of you is registered to vote. But if Thank you so much for being here this evening. Okay, finally, we're going to have Christine Walcott talk to us about the petition, and then we will open this up for a question and answer session.
First, let me say thanks for coming. We appreciate it. And contrary to what you may have read in the paper or seen on the news, I'm not politically motivated. I don't have any lawsuits. I've never ran for office, nor do I intend to run for office. Just a mom, a nurse, and a citizen who believes in right and wrong. I hope you remember this the next time you hear the diversionary tactics used by those who did wrong. There's also been some confusion in what we're doing as a recall. That's not correct. The recall is based on the city charter, and what we are doing is a petition drive based on the state code, West Virginia State Code, Chapter 6, Article 6. And that says any city official, prosecutor, or 25 registered voters can petition the court to remove an officer. Under the state code, there's certain terms that can be applied to the officials, such as neglect of duty and official misconduct. As used in the state code, these terms include the willful waste of public funds by an official. There's also the terms incompetence and incompetent person. And under the state code, these refer to wasting or misappropriation of public funds by an officer, adultery, neglect of duty, or gross immorality. We based our petition on misconduct in office and neglecting duties, including gross immorality and the wasting of public funds. If you've reviewed even a small portion of the documents or the audio, I think you'll see how we arrived at that conclusion. And a lot of the things are on the table, and I encourage you to look at those before you leave. When we file our petitions, this will put the allegations in front of a 3-judge panel. It will be 3 judges from the state, only one of which can be from our local circuit. They'll review the evidence, of course, opposition to the evidence, and then they'll make a determination as to whether the mayor should be removed. That is our hope and our intentions of the petitions. And like I said, I encourage you all to look at the information on the table. It includes the financials, what we got for the last year, and just some different scenarios, including the second audio transcript. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. Now, if anyone would like to ask a question of our panel members, that's what they're here for. So we have mics set up on each side. Please just go to one of the microphones, and we're ready to take your questions.
As a mother of a 3-year-old, parenting advice, or wanting parenting advice, we teach our children to take accountability for their actions. If they do something wrong, we want to correct the problem before it gets out of control. And if we don't, we are enabling them to do it again. So, why is the city? Why are our citizens? And why is this council enabling him to keep doing this? We've had some issues in the past, and now we have this. We aren't going anywhere, and we won't be going anywhere. We need to take action now. And so he doesn't, and we don't allow it to happen. We don't allow him being enabled by our actions. Council has a voice, and I think that voice needs to be heard as well. Thank you.
I'm sorry, your voice is very light, and I'm half deaf without my glasses on. But the a general gist, you want to know.
Why are we enabling him?
I don't know that we are enabling them. I don't know if you've paid attention lately, but we have been studying the charter very keenly and trying to get back to the charter with its requirements. This upcoming budget tomorrow is going to be a very interesting budget. There's some pros and cons. Some of you know we voted to take travel expenses, contractual labor. It was travel, training, capital, and we're having an issue right now. The administration thinks that we're delving into the day-to-day operations, which is not allowed by charter. In total agreement, we have no business in day-to-day by this charter. But we fail to see how that impacts the day-to-day operations. So this should be interesting. Tomorrow we have a disagreement here on the fundamentals of a few sections. Hopefully we have the votes, and I believe we do, that will ratify the budget, and that'll put the ball in the mayor's court. He can decide if we want to pursue this to get clarification for future councils once it's wrong. But that would be his choice. I would like to mention, you talked about the P-card audit. That's free, done by the state on request. And the forensic audit, even though it sounds ominous with court and all the other words that embezzlement, fraud, it's not necessarily used just for that. It's used to identify any fallacies in our system too and help us correct them. So this forensic audit, it may not create any collateral damage with employment, but it will at least give us guidance on how to fix this so in the future it never occurs again. And that's the purpose of it overall. I think that's, is that an answer enough? Yes, ma'am.
I just have a follow-up question to that. So you said that there's a disagreement within the administration.
Sorry about that. The administration thinks that will interfere with day-to-day operations and cannot be passed. We fundamentally feel it doesn't interfere with day-to-day operations. There is no traveling that's going to happen tomorrow that you have some planning to meet every 2 weeks. The money's still there. We've never taken it out of the budget. We just hold on to it until it's requested so we can get a better idea of what we're doing and why and how. And we get to see at the end of the year how much we have left in these accounts. There is some disagreement internally as well, but that's not really consequential right now.
I'm just kind of coming on board to the level of understanding things, so I thought maybe I'd ask a certification question for me as well as other people here. We have 3 audit choices. What's the difficulty in just trying to pass all 3 audits? That way, nobody has a disagreement, you're all done. Is that a possibility? And if so, is it a good one? Is it something that we should look at? Okay, then I'll just speak up. I have a loud enough voice.
Procedural audit is done every year by law, and they actually budget for that. And actually, the operating for that is Wednesday of this week. We'll get the initial findings.
Okay, so the first one's already going to be done.
It's always done, yes, required law. The second one is a P-card audit, and that's done upon request, and the mayor has requested that. But also, the state can do that on their own, and they can do those on a regular basis.
Okay.
Because those are where people have credit cards, and they can go out and use those. The third audit is not something that's usually done. We actually went to training in Parkersburg at the state auditor's office on budget formulation, fraud prevention. Roger Brown, myself, J.R. Reynolds. The other members of the finance committee were not available.
part of your question. So they're kind of separate and have separate things going on, but I wouldn't think that the two would interfere with each other, because what we're petitioning the court to do is just to remove him from office. Nothing else. The financial would be something different.
But it shows that there is misuse of that reward societies that like the students and things of that nature.
I don't think that's criminal. Maybe, like I said, that would be okay.
I think that I think to make it a little more clear as I understand it, is we have the ethics complaint, which is about ethical issues. And then the audit needs to address the financial issues. Does that help? Okay.
And the state auditor explained that if there are criminal things found from the forensic audit, and honestly, we don't know if it's just bad bookkeeping. We don't, we're not accusing anything. All we know is we get those looked at from an external source, so the experts before a little bit of money, they can get it done quickly and give us an outside opinion. So this is not about accusing anybody of anything. It could just be we put things in the wrong places. But what they explain to us is if they do find things that appear to be criminal, it'll be up to the prosecuting attorney's office to decide whether or not to prosecute.
My name is Cheryl Burns. Can you hear me? We need a forensic audit. We need it so that the documentation that I've seen on RZNN that is facts, that the mayor and Mrs. Flowers still, should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law for theft and misuse of city funds. We need a forensic audit to do that. And that's what I'll be saying tomorrow night. I understand your comment with this.
I was approached today, and I had put on Facebook that I'd be asking City Council to re-implement giving money to outside agencies. I know that in a time like this, when everyone's worried about our finances, I just want to address the fact that when we had a $23 million budget, we still had money to give away. And it's to places and people who need it a lot. They don't get all $125,000. They submit applications. Council then will review them and see how much they have. Every year we have cash carryover. They fudge those numbers sort of. They expect them to come in low. They come in high. So the money's there. I would just like to address council at this point because there's a couple issues that I'm concerned about. That would be that the people that are here, the people who come to council, feel very threatened, have had personal threats, whether it be jobs, whatever, they're concerned about that. When Attorney Santer kind of lost it there for a minute or two.
Yes, he did.
I just want to say that very recently there was a council that voted to remove their attorney for the same thing. And
appreciate the way that people will talk to you. And I think that that's something that has been an issue as far back when I was started in 2000. So when I came from the very beginning and said, I think that you need A, your own attorney, and I thought that was great that you tried to entertain that, and B, that you need your own accountant, because you are going to be lied to constantly. As for the audit, I have a little bit of issues sometimes with that. We used to have the same auditor come in every year. It got very familiar. It was have a cup of coffee, let's sit down, let's look at this, look at that. Our council decided that it was too familiar. So we put it out for bid. Then it needs to switch every so often, because then they get familiar. I'm concerned about that, because I don't know how long ago it's been since that has happened, or that changed. But it needed to go out more often and to different auditors so that there was issues. They would be addressed and not just, hi, Joe, let me have a cup of coffee and I'm going to go eat a chicken kilometers. So, also I'm very thankful that you guys are standing up. I think that that's a great thing. I wish that we had a support of 6, 7, 9 would be nice, but I do wish you had more. I know what it feels like when you don't. And you feel like you're banging your head against the wall. So the mayor always said that he wished that he could have the room full of people when it was something that was really important. So he's going to get it. He will get it. If there's anyone who'd like to talk to me in the corner, I'll be in the corner, as usual. But I do, honestly, I want to thank everyone, not just you. I'd like to thank Callie, but I really like to thank the citizens who are concerned now, and I'm really sorry that this is what brought us all together. Thank you.
Hold on just a second. I hate to digress to a bad meeting, especially one I was audit on. When Mr. Sander had some words in the audience, I was visibly stunned, but I have to take some blame for that whole situation because I did not put him in order. I was a little slow, so I have to share the blame for that whole situation as well, and I apologize.
You don't have to accept that.
Sir, I know I'm not supposed to interject my opinion, but I believe that you were very brave, because once you found out the rules, you enforced them, and I would really appreciate that.
I just have a nice question for the council. For the council members, where in the city employees book does it say that a person is put on an administrative leave, like Ms. Flowers, and get paid for it? She's a non-civil service person. Where that seems like a waste of funds. It's not in the employee book.
I have a copy of that employee handbook.
There's our money right there for our audit, right there.
There you go.
We had the same question by Mrs. Walcott. Mrs. Walcott, and she emailed the question. It's a very valid question. It's one that we're not in a position to answer. We're in no control of any of the personnel in the city whatsoever. They're all under the mayor. So we forwarded the email to personnel, Pam Salvage, and she was to give her a reply, since that is human resources and she is a director. And that's where it stands right now. I don't have an answer for that because we do not delve into daily business.
It's not in the book. It's not in the book. But I also want to say that City Council does approve people's salaries. So couldn't you just simply get rid of her salary and that eliminates her position? Also, I think it's really important to just say thank you for answering the emails. I know a lot of the other council members refer me to you. I know my emails come at random times. Thank you for answering them timely. And shame on them for not standing up with you. Why can't you just eliminate her salary? That eliminates her position.
I'm speaking from past experience when I was a federal manager at Public Ed, and I can't answer for the city because I don't have that level of expertise at the city level, but I do know that if you do that to somebody and dismiss them and then they're found not to be guilty, that the lawsuit and the ramifications and the money they can win in a lawsuit far exceeds the money you pay them while you're waiting for that situation to occur. And while I agree it seems like a waste of money, if we did do that, we could actually incur more debt, more charges against the city financially than if we allow this to occur. And the bottom line is we have to wait for the process. And as hard as that is sometimes, it really is better for the taxpayers not to do that right now because, again, if it's found to be wrong, then the penalties that we may have to pay in court of law for wrongful dismissal could be substantially more.
So couldn't the Human Resources Department investigate it? Because that's what would happen in my company. The Human Resources Department would investigate the information and they would say yes or no on the termination.
That goes right back to the original non-answer I gave you. We're still waiting for that from personnel for her original email asking the same question, and that was forwarded to Pam, and we're waiting for a response.
How long have you been?
She called me just before I got here, asking me what I thought she should respond. I said, I'm not personnel, I don't have a clue.
I think there's some ex-employees in here that might be about the
Please share.
Well, I personally don't know. That's why I forwarded her email to Human Resources and let her respond.
I'm not lying, and I don't think I need a microphone. I spent 22 years at the city. I know from before 82 when I hired her, I have knowledge from 1975 on, there has never been a non-civil service employee had the luxury of paid leave. No, they have not. Even when we had a couple other finance directors, Mr. Doug Light resigned, Mr. Randy Craig resigned, this has not come up. I'm not telling you that's the absolute honest gospel. That's my memory. I'm almost 60, so I could be wrong. I contacted the personnel director, very honorable lady, pretty neutral lady, and I asked her this same question. She said it is not in the personnel manual, but also she said it is not in the manual. I understand that. I understand what that means. And that, maybe I'm speaking out of school, but I'm going to tell you what the lady told me, the personnel director told me, that it was a decision made by the mayor. That's what she told me. I appreciate her answer. I believe it was absolutely the truth. So I don't think we're going to make it anywhere by complaining to her. I believe it's totally out of her hands. I'm suggesting, as a lady or gentleman over there, I do know that there are budget revisions all the time. Been around the block, I've seen it, and I think maybe the words weren't used, but how about a budget revision to remove that money from the line item? And yes, it might mean that she was fired and successfully terminated, and she fights to get her job back. I understand the legal ramifications. Indeed, I do. I know right now we're spending $6,000 a month that she may or may not be able to come back. I also have been told when I worked there for a long time, the words that were used before you were all tenure there, they'll be on the outside looking in. I have been told that because I never stood still for anything that went wrong. I stood up for the employees many times, and let her be on the outside looking in. Let her sue. She's already forget the unadjudicated felony. Let's forget that for a minute, okay? She has admitted having sex with Bob Newell. She's admitted that. So that's what I'm suggesting. Let her be on the outside looking in. The very minute she loses her salary, she will sing like a canary. Sorry for that.
Just to clarify, Bob Newell's the one that has to get rid of Flowers. Is that correct?
Yes, as a matter of fact, under the charter, like when you're debating, the finance director serves at the pleasure of the mayor. some good points. It does violate West Virginia State Code on employer-employee benefits. There's no way you could do that without invoking the wrath of the state on payroll. That's just not even possible.
Her,
Yeah.
So her salary cannot be removed per a budget division, is that what you're saying in this law?
For her salary to be removed, that position would have to be removed, and that would have to come to the personnel committee, probably by the mayor. The mayor has the right to terminate at any time, but he's the only one. Nobody else has that authority right now.
So to coin the phrase, I'll keep a dead horse on that position.
Well, this issue can only be corrected by one man at this point.
Yes, everybody, we're making progress. We are.
Thank you, Mr. Carter, I'd like to address the issue of February 10th. I believe it was that meeting where everything blew up with Mr. Sanders. I don't feel
24th.
I'm sorry. 24th. I'm sorry. I don't feel you owe us an apology. I feel he does, and I feel I owe these people an apology. I stood up and spoke out, but I'm torn. The reason I stood up and spoke out is I saw an American citizen get screamed at like a child for clapping. For clapping. And the citizen that was speaking at the time, that was so rude, said nothing out of line whatsoever. I've been over and over. I've spent hours watching the video that I personally took. I see nothing that was said wrong. Now, that being said, when a citizen steps up to that microphone in a crowd full of people, they are asked to give their home address. I think it's been shown throughout this whole fiasco, we don't trust you with our address. Also, when a citizen speaks to council, you kind of make a statement that, you know, I'm sorry, but don't feel bad if you don't get a response. You know, you're allowed to speak. At least give them a thank you. I mean, they feel like they're beating their head against the wall, and you wholeheartedly know how that feels. But if an American citizen stands up and a city attorney or anyone, and I'm in the room, says you don't have the right, you're going to see this. And I'm going to be loud.
I don't like to point that out, but I believe I said thank you after everybody's tweets.
Well, I mean, just
But you can go back and review it, I may be wrong.
that they need the feeling that they're actually being heard is what the point I'm trying to make.
Okay, let's go over here and then we'll go to this one.
Yeah, I'd like to know if Mr. Mill is removed from his office, since he will not resign. If Mrs. Flowers will still be getting paid leave. Or is the county president like mayor?
That would be up to the mayor that's elected. There's different scenarios involved there. If that is indeed the case, whoever the party can select through, there's different scenarios, depends on what happens. That would be up to the new mayor. Because they would be working for the mayor.
Okay, I have one more question, if you don't mind. Especially since I'm getting responses to my questions. I had a case at the Supreme Court in Charleston, and it was a 3-panel judge through workers' compensation. It took them 1 year, well, it took 2 years to get there. It took 1 year for them to make a decision. And they made a wrong one. So if the mayor I'll call him Mr. Knoll if you don't mind. If Mr. Knoll these petitions are turned over, and he is removed, and it is sent to the Supreme Court, 3-panel judge. I believe you said 1 local judge. Is that going to take a year, or do you know?
I have no idea of a timeline. But let's say, just as a scenario, he is removed, which we don't know one way or the other. Then we have 14 days to, as council, to elect whatever party, it'd be a Democratic Party would give us 3 candidates. And by a 2/3 vote, whoever we vote on in 14 days of it is, that would be our new mayor to finish the term. But that's a what if.
That's praise Jesus. That's all I did.
If for some reason council couldn't agree on a candidate with a 2/3 vote, the governor will step in after 30 days and assign somebody from anywhere. Anybody he wants will be our mayor to finish the term. So it's important we keep things in house.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
I hear you, but I don't see. Oh, there she is.
In this transcript is the audio file. Mule even says, I'm F. I don't mind paying that, but I'm F. On page 3, it says, I'm resigning. I've got to resign. I'm going to resign. I'm not going. So, he's admitted to it. We know that. We've seen the files. We've heard the clips. And now we're back to square one. I'm upset because I'm on Facebook a lot. And I know Flowers is getting paid $6,000 a month. Now, so she doesn't get enough money from the taxpayers, she's decided to do an online yard sale. Now, I'm not going to go into the child endangerment because that's not what the issue is about. I just think she's robbing her children doing that because it's their items that she's selling. Anyway, so we're paying her $6,000 a month, and now we're paying the other person $40 an hour. So what is that roughly a month? $87,000 a year, if you work full time. And I'm sorry, I hear council say they don't want the per diem audit because that's what no one wants. Of course he wants that. I mean, it won't show, it's just skimming. But I think the extra $8,600 for the forensic audit is what we need. I would rather have my tax-paying money going towards that than going to Ashley Flowers and having her on a Facebook site, running a Facebook site on her paid time off. I think it's ridiculous, and I don't know why we are allowing it. And now I'm hearing it's because she's under Bob Roll. Well, I'm sorry, who the hell is it? I mean, we know about his escapades in the past. Who the hell is it under him? So now, we need to step up. We need to be heard. And I'm trying to get my generation into it, but I got nothing. So, I'm 28. I'm a mother of a 3-year-old. We returned back from Hawaii after a Navy run. And this is what we came back to. I miss Hawaii, and I hate Hawaii. But seriously, something needs to be said. Something needs to be done. I don't know what the city council can do, but he needs to be out. He's even admitted it right there. And she needs to be out. And she doesn't have any business being the vice mayor, because then who the hell's going to be under her? Point of view. Thank you.
Just so you all know, the reason why this is taking so long for this whole process to go through is because the whole thing that I started with, we're trying to get away from the strong mayor. This is the problem that you run into when you have a strong mayor government. So because we have a strong, stubborn mayor in there, that everybody in this room, I think, pretty well has seen enough of the receipts and everything, and I can tell you from the committee that has looked at all the receipts, there's definitely enough there for him to go. But we have to go through the due process that it takes to do it in order to get there. And it's going to take a little bit, but I can promise you that the truth is going to come out from us, definitely.
And we didn't get all of the receipts. When we asked for the receipts, we were missing 4 months out of the year. Very minimal. I want you guys to come look at the bookkeeping that was done.
Hey, JR, did you hear me that time?
And I'd just like to add on Ashley's employment. I did go through the city book, and just as I emailed council, even before that last week, I went through the city personnel book. I pointed out things that she's admitted to, or we have documentation that she's broken. I'm not speaking of the felony, I'm talking about the city personnel rules that have been broken. And I sent that to Mr. Santer and Bob Moore. Because I haven't received a response.
We highlighted all of the rules that were broken.
Keep the mic.
Sadly, the due process does take time, and we want it to happen now. It's not happening right now. That's horrible, because I would love to see it happen right now. My question is how do we move as a city now into more of a council strong instead of mayor strong? What steps do we people take to see that our city government is going to move over into something more like that, where there's more checks and balances?
There is a state law called Chapter 8, and it's called municipal corporations. And it defines how cities are created in West Virginia and the types of governments that they can form. And we used to be a different kind of government. In 1969, there was a charter board elected, which the citizens elect. It's an 11-person board for a city our size. They draft, based on the different types of governments available, a charter, and they send it to the citizens to vote. And that's why I love the charter, because it's the citizens telling the government and telling us how they want us to perform and what powers we'll have. So as a citizens group, there's different ways we can change the charter. We can actually, as a council, write some ordinances, and if there is nobody that challenges those ordinances, and we can pass them as a council, the likelihood that we're able to do that is slim to none. And there's good reasons for that. So that process can continue to the election and go to an election, or you guys as citizens can have an election. Mark can tell you the cost of that usually, but have an election, elect the charter board, decide on a new form of government of the ones the state allows, and create that form of government on paper, send it to the voters, and the voters decided the charter. That went to the citizens, and that's why I'm so committed to the charter, and why we can't do certain things is because the citizens didn't give us the authority to remove employees. It didn't give us the authority to remove the mayor. It left the authority to remove employees with the mayor, and the authority to remove the mayor with the citizens, and that was the citizens' decision. So if you read Chapter 8, and I told Christy this in the email, it gives you very specific processes and different types of government that can be followed. I highly encourage that process. I think it's a wonderful way for you to have input, and you actually define through citizens' vote what powers and authorities we have.
While we're speaking about the change of the charter. One of the things that I've noticed and that I've heard kind of through the grapevine, that the adultery is not as important apparently as it was when the charter was written. And I would like to see that stay within the charter because it's still, for some of us, unacceptable. And I know that there was some discussion on that. Also, on the forensic audit, tomorrow night, if you do not have enough votes, where do we go from there?
Back to the drawing board.
Can we ask for one as citizens? I'll go get a loan for the $8,600 and pay for it myself.
Yeah, according to our charter, our charter, maybe some state laws that allow that, but we are, operating under the charter and the finance rules in order to ask for that. So let's wait and see what happens tomorrow night and see if it passes.
So we basically know we got 3 that's going to say no.
I don't know that.
I know it.
I guess we can cross that bridge when we get to it. Hopefully it's a non-issue.
A good thing to do is to show up so you know whether to vote it back in or not.
I'm sure the council people have looked over this home rule and they can answer a question about home rule. Does it require a strong mayor governor?
No, home rule is also ratified in Chapter 8 of the state law until just specifically. President, no, it doesn't require that at all.
In my research, I researched the strong mayor versus the strong council. And when we went to the strong mayor, even the people that helped put the strong mayor in years after did try to gather citizens. And there were 18 of them that met here, and they did try to change it because they quoted in the newspaper, they created a monster by giving one person that much power that appoints so many different officials in government. And I think what we need to do is kind of give the city council, who we are all going to with all the questions, a little more power to actually hear our voice and do things that we are asking them to do.
My question is to the council. Who was in charge of hiring Doug Lightfin once that they put her on administrative leave? Is that the mayor, or do you all have a vote on that, or what?
No, we don't have any vote. There again, it's another appointee by the mayor. Just to clarify that he is not currently employed, I don't believe. He used him on the budget, and then all finance questions that I had were referred to Pam Salvage, who was acting as the finance director as well as personnel temporarily. I really don't know how many. I really don't know how many hours he's worked or not. I've seen nothing about the accumulation of any type of payroll on that.
Well, the reason why I was asking is because I've seen a lot of employees that work for the city that got pulled over for DUI and they got fired. Doug Life actually had a DUI and crashed and got fired. Then they bring you back. How can the city?
He resigned. He resigned.
Oh, he resigned, so then they bring you back after he resigns. Okay, I see. So that explains why the mayor don't want to get rid of Ashley Flowers right now, is because a friend with benefits, why would he want to do that?
A felon cannot hold the position of finance director in the city of Parkersburg.
I don't know that he's presently employed now. He probably will be tomorrow as we go through the budget process. But I know here last week when I had some financial questions, I was referred to Pam as acting finance director because Doug was not currently working. He was not needed because that all budget. Other than that, that's all I can share with you.
The amendment that was voted on, what was it, about a week and a half ago on Wednesday meeting to move the monies for the travel expenses and stuff. How did that vote turn out and who voted which way so that people know? And I also wondered if that move was brought on because of some things that you all had seen that may be going on.
We moved the travel to travel contingency or capital program training, so we can better keep track and watch what's being spent and how. There's no reason why that would affect any day-to-day business. So this stuff doesn't happen overnight, and we've got till July to start on that. As for the votes, that's public record, and I'll be honest with you, I don't remember. I have a pretty good idea, but I don't want to be so bold as to say. Okay. But it is public record, and you can look it up as well. We're voting on the budget tomorrow, so it's not been done yet. It just passed the first process.
And I believe that was a 6-3 vote with Wilcox, Lynch, and Rockwell voting against it, if I'm not mistaken.
I couldn't verify or deny.
Now, the other part of your question was there something that you all had seen that had been going on to prompt this action?
Well, right now, this council that's taken effect, we're trying to stick to the charter, the laws that the citizens have raised on it or voted for us, and we're just trying to comply. There's a comfort in following the rules for all parties, and we have a pretty good setup. Kim knows more about that than I do right now, but that's what we're in the process of doing.
And I'd also like to ask everybody here to come to the council meeting tomorrow night to make sure that this audit is in effect, because if everybody speaks out for it and then it doesn't pass, maybe some more people will see what's been going on down there. So I want to ask you all to come out.
In the past, I've been offered jobs in the applied sciences as a master's equivalent. That means I don't have a master's degree, but I was really good at what I did, and I could teach it anyway, but I taught it at a lesser cost. That being said, we have looked into a little bit other cities that you folks claim to have compared in the past finance director salaries with our current finance director's salary, giving her a raise. We're finding it very easy to find out the education of these people that are being paid, that were being paid more money than our finance director. We're finding it very difficult to find out our finance director's education. And I would like to know how to find that. And was that taken into consideration?
That's a personnel issue, and that's not something I'm privy to because we don't hire those people.
Who do we ask?
Then why would you vote for a raise?
Everybody together, hand us out.
Okay, well, you folks voted on it.
You voted for the raise.
You voted for the raise, yes?
Do you not know her education? You voted to give her a raise.
She wasn't working for us when we gave that raise. That position was vacant.
Believe it or not, if I could then clear that out, there was nobody planned for that, and we were trying to get a competitive range to get qualified personnel in. She was not named in that position at that time. But back to personnel matters, that the personnel committee would handle some of her job descriptions and qualifications that would have to go through our human resources department. We're supposed to be like,
do you have this public record?
Decisions.
Is it public record?
Should be.
Because we're not getting any answers when we question. We're not getting a response. from personnel. We can't find out the job requirements.
It would probably be in the minutes of a personnel meeting. Although,
Now
when they bring a candidate to us, well, we don't hire them, they hire them. We just go over the job description. We don't check the job description for an employee. That's done by personnel and the mayor. He hires whoever he wants.
I see in some council, you can look on the city website, and I see in some of the councils, if they're wanting to change the rate of pay or change the class of the position, they give you a job description, such as the flood wall maintenance person that just got his classification changed. They gave you a job description, and the rate of pay was based on that. For this position, there is nothing on the city council. And I understand where you got your numbers about the West Virginia and other places like Wheeling that has almost the same population, but their budget is twice as much and they have less people working in their finance department. There's nothing online or that we can find showing what the requirements of this position are, and she does not have the education. You're paying her a salary that is for someone else. I mean, she doesn't have the degree.
Well, again, I don't think, to be fair, we're kind of taking a shot at the council members here, and I told them that would absolutely not happen. These people cannot hire, just to be fair.
We actually have one employee that the council hires, and that's the city clerk. That's it. And somehow we share the expense of an attorney with the city. But we don't have any say in any of the others. All we have to say in is some qualifications we'd like to see in and put it in human resources as qualifications. I don't know why you would be given what the job description entails. I can understand for privacy matters that you wouldn't be given her personnel file.
Correct,
that would probably violate so many laws I couldn't count. But for the qualifications, it should be readily available and what's expected. And when they do advertise those jobs, those qualifications are put in the paper. I've seen the ads for this long, when they're looking for somebody and required to place an ad. I've never read them, because I know about what they say, but they are put out there in the public. I don't know why we would not get you a job description. That doesn't seem great.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I have a follow-up question to that. All right, so maybe we'll- Anyway, so she wasn't working for us, and you wanted a competitive salary. I get that. But shouldn't the council, and this is no shots at you, but in order to vote for something, shouldn't we, citizens, everyone, get educated on what we're voting for? I mean, shouldn't we know who we are putting into office? Shouldn't we know her background, if she has a degree? Why wasn't that looked into?
I can answer that. City council ratifies certain positions, but the charter did not give us the authority to ratify the finance director position. So while we can, in personnel grade, look at the qualifications and assign a salary to those qualifications, we cannot ratify the finance director because the citizens didn't give us the authority to do it for that position.
So, okay, then why did you guys vote for it?
For a pay increase?
Yes.
On that salary, because we did not believe, because our salary was so low, that we could get a qualified candidate in there.
Well, I think she might be a little bit too overqualified. But anyway, I know as a voter and as a citizen, we are told by our government and any affiliation to educate yourself. So, that's my responsibility as a voter. I'm just wondering why the council didn't take it upon themselves to educate her background before voting for the red race.
She wasn't, the position was empty when we increased the salary. We increased the salary based on a market study on what that position
So
was
we
made.
just took a shot in the dark and said,
Okay, to be blunt, what happened was is we put the carrot out, or they put the carrot out there and the wrong person took it.
Apparently, everyone took the carrot away.
You're right, Kathy. This all comes down to the mayor. This all comes down to the mayor's powers.
Kathy, if I may, I just have a question. I don't know if anybody's looked at your bills lately, your settlement bill or any of the above. And if you've noticed that the B&O tax has been passed along to you. And a lot of citizens don't realize they write the check out to pay the bill, never notice it. So along with the user fee, which I voted against, the B&O is being passed down to us, which they have absolutely no control. It's just one of those things. As of July 1st, we'll be charged a 1% sales tax on top of. Yeah, everything you buy, 1%. So my question is, when the budget was all put together and the 1% was added in, correct? What is council going to do for, and how long will it be before the B&O disappears or steps down? Because to me, I'm being hit with 3 taxes now. And I just want to know at what point we as the citizens are going to see a reprieve. Thank you.
The B&O tax, as it's presently done, is going to start decreasing January 1st next year. The service tax starts July.
There's a squirrel right over your head.
There's a squirrel.
Oh, I see.
The reduction of B&O will start January 1st. A few of us were mostly outvoted. The reason the service tax was sold to me on as well was a good revenue source that's steady that would allow us to reduce fees, i.e. police fee, flood wall fee. The mayor is not committed to reducing them, or he's going to look at it in January, reducing fees.
That'll be 6 months overlap that we're still paying all of it.
That's exactly right. Now, you've got to understand something. I know you're upset, and nobody more so than I, because not only am I paying every fee and tax the city has in the county because of where my business is and where I live downtown, I'm the only one on council, I believe, paying 100% of everything levied between my home and my business. So believe me, I'm excited to see fees reduced as well. I would like to see police and fire and flood wall fee dropped off. Tried to get that done this year, it didn't happen. We will continue to strive for reducing fees. And that's what the municipal sales tax was, or the home rule was to replace eventually our fees.
Huh?
A lady over here.
Well, I just wanted to briefly address the mayor's absence at the last 2 council meetings. Since he is not resigning his office, isn't he obligated to attend city council meetings? And does he have to provide the council with any reasonable excuse why he can't be there to support or just be there, to address, or just listen to what the public has to say? I know why he's not there. But does he have to provide council with any excuse for his absence?
Okay, I'm just going to take a second and read this verbatim, right out of the charter. Mayor or representative shall attend council meetings. The mayor or his designated representative shall attend any meeting of the council and may attend any meeting of his committees and may express his views orally and in writing on matters pending before the council. But he shall have no right to introduce any motion, resolution, or ordinance or amendments thereof, nor to vote thereon. Right now, when he is not there, his representative is Mr. Sander. which satisfies the charter requirements. I have no other explanation for it.
He's a contractor though, is that not correct? He's contracted by the city, so he's really not,
City attorney.
but he's not employed by the city. He's actually
paid by the city.
Okay.
With someone.
Knew that was coming.
As this due process proceeds, that we will not see any further city council meetings.
Let's not ask the council members to speak.
I like that idea myself, but
I know you guys have no control over there. Let's just take a couple more questions and then let's separate out into discussion groups however you'd like to. I know there are people who are willing to stay around and answer your questions. Over here.
Yes, my question is to you, Callie. There's more than enough signatures on the petition. Will those be presented tomorrow night?
Oh, no, they aren't to be presented at council. What will happen next in the process is that they go to an attorney who will verify and drop the paperwork to present to the court.
Do you know about when that will be?
Well, I know that it's in the hands of legal now.
Oh, okay.
So I expect it to be just days. So I'll be very quick, very quick.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
Okay.
Thank you.
So before this evening, just to add a little bit, before this evening we had, trying to think how many, it was about 150. So whoever signs tonight will be on top of that. Plenty of signatures, in other words. Yes, ma'am.
Gary said I was close to my mouth. I hope I'm not too long. I'm not a city employee, never have been, maybe I should be. I've been a state employee for 16 years. I worked for a state college, and I currently work for a public school system. And I know that we are held very accountable for our travel, and I almost feel guilty when I get out when I'm on state money. But something that I was noticing as I was going through all these statements done was that as a state employee and a school employee, I have 2 email accounts. I have one through the state of West Virginia Department of Education, and I have one county one through my Board of Education. Anytime the state or the county can go into my email accounts and check my school business out, and I have no problem with that. I am their employee, I am your employees. If you live in the state of West Virginia and you pay taxes, I work for you. And I watch your money. When I'm looking through these bills, I'm not seeing a city email address. I'm seeing personal emails. I feel like, at the very least, when you're addressing travel, that maybe it should be brought up that these people should be using city email accounts that can be audited by someone. This is not what Hillary Clinton's going through right now. I mean,
And they are subject to FOIA. Even if the mayor uses that email address, that's just his name, it doesn't appear to be a city email, it's still subject to FOIA requests.
I think that for accountability purposes, it would be so much easier if they all just had a certain account, that it was very easy to identify as a city account. And another thing along the same lines, I mean, I live in county, and when I go to the RESA office, I live in North End, and I travel to the South Side to go to the RESA office for training. Before I go, I have to turn in either an email invitation to a meeting. RESA invites me to training or to a meeting for my job that is job related. I have to turn in to my superintendent that email or an agenda for the meeting or training that I am going to before I go. If it's out of state, I have to turn it in at least a month ahead of time. If it is in state, it's at least a week ahead of time. That has to be connected to the form that I fill out, requesting the wait time, why I'm asking for it, how much it's going to cost ahead of time. And I don't see any kind of documentation like that regarding all this. Plus, I still have to follow, I can only take so much for lunch, and I can only get lunch bid when I'm out of town for so long, and all those rules too. And I just don't see the same accountability that city level that I get at the state level, and I don't feel that the accountability for me is unreasonable. I mean, I want myself covered. I want people to know, yes, I'm going to these meetings. I'm not going out to play golf or something like that. So I have no problem with it. And if I don't turn this in a timely manner, I don't get reimbursed. That's just it. You either get it in a timely manner. I don't live in Worth County, so I'm in a smaller county. I live up here and work down there. My personnel person calls me and says, Tracy, you have to turn that in, and it's been 3 days. And you need to turn that in. So, I mean, I understand at the city level they're busy and they drive to fly. And so you couldn't have a human resource person doing that to you. But, you know, on the same level, you are a responsible adult. You know your responsibilities to the city and the taxpayers. Get that stuff in. And it's also, I've been told, the reason if you have a wreck when you're out of town on state travel, then there's accountability with that too, the insurance and everything. So I would think that the same would hold true to the city, in case you're in, you know, on city travel for city purposes.
And I'm not an auditor, I don't know the I did go through all of the statements that we had over the years, several of them missing, because there were checks that were made out, documents, tax requests. And there are processes which don't appear to be followed. If you look through the city personnel book, you know, there's certain per diem rules and travel rules, which, you know, just were not evident in the travel records that were kept. A lot of them didn't even have a name of who requested it. It was just signed, and just several things and gaps in them. Getting per diem or petty cash for a cab fare, but then also using the city credit card for the same cab fare. That's not right to me. I'm not an accountant, but that seems like an issue. But the bookkeeping was atrocious. I mean, just handwritten notes on the credit card statements. You know, don't kill me, I don't have the receipt. I'm quoting. I mean, that's not professional, I don't think, from any officer that's running the city.
And I would say something else along the lines too. I mean, since you guys are addressing the travel tomorrow, I don't think these kind of requests would be unreasonable. And when I come back from trainings, I have to provide an agenda from the training where I have to have someone sign something for me saying that I was there. I think that might be a really good thing for our city too, is to prove that people were where they said they were going to be. And that's something we can do immediate, and not something we have to wait on judges or any process for. It's just something to think about, and it's common sense, and it's nothing that's unreasonable. Thank you for your time.
And on that, I can't remember which chapter it is, the state code, there is something where travel law is supposed to be, has certain rules for the key part, which don't appear to be followed.
In regards, I used to work for public debt and set up control systems. As a computer security manager, my job was to make sure computer programs weren't developed to steal money from the Federal Reserve Bank. So I completely understand the checks and balances and controls you're putting in place. Unfortunately, as much as council wants to do those things, we don't have the authority to do them. And because of the strong mayor government. So one thing we are doing, and JR has touched on this several times, we are reviewing every financial law on the books, checking our compliance with those. We do have the ability to do that as far as the charter goes and our ordinances. And we are working in demonstration to bring that back into compliance. So the things that we can do, I mean, other city council workers are working on informative training meetings. We are diligently working to do what we can do. And unfortunately, we just don't have the ability to do some of the things that I think are just that travel controls with some authority to get into that databases.
Thank you. We'll go to Ashley, and she'll be our last question.
I was just wondering, as a municipality, are we tax exempt for purchases, travel, trainings, anything? Like, if we're tax exempt, right, we don't have to pay sales or occupational taxes on purchases, correct? I guess, no. Because we should be. I mean, city governments are usually tax exempt from. tax exempt. They don't have to pay occupational taxes when trainings or traveling for trainings. And they don't have to pay sales taxes on purchases for city business. But we are, and all of the receipts that I've seen so far, we're paying all of the taxes, and that's just wasteful in my opinion, and it's irresponsible. $2 here, $25 here, with multiple purchases from multiple officials, this stuff starts to add up, and this is money that we could be using to repave our streets or filling in our potholes, and you can start with my street on 42nd Street, since it's been 3 years, and I also haven't had snow plow removal in 4 years, so I don't know. I mean, I know I try to get humorous with it there, but I'm serious. This is irresponsible and wasteful spending, and that is a simple solution. I'm familiar with tax exemption, I'm familiar with city governments and nonprofits and spending. It's a simple certificate. You show it when you use your credit card or when you pay cash, and poof, it goes away, it goes off the bill, it doesn't get charged. So I don't understand, like maybe when we're reevaluating this whole checks and balances system, you know, maybe we can put something into place in there and get education for everybody that's using and spending the city's money, that this would be an easy solution to just start saving a little bit, you know, 1 penny at a time.
Okay, I just have one question, and it may be silly and naughty, but who determines our mayor's salary? Where does that come from? Who determines what he gets paid? Council?
Yes.
What is it?
And presently, he is the MVP of all
Of all what department heads? Of all of you? He gets a little more than you.
Approximately 68,000. But the department heads are all salary. Right now, presently above what the mayor is making. The mayor is making, I believe, $68,000.
What was his last increase?
I know exactly what you're saying.
Mrs. Tallman, you might be able to answer this.
Last pay increase for the mayor.
Somewhere around 2002. It's on the other departments, like they did the studies from municipality to municipality, but when it came to raises for council or for mayor, it didn't happen.
Thank you.
Well, I want to thank you all for your attendance this evening and your participation. And please feel free to stay around so we can have one-on-one conversations and discussion. Some of the committee members have provided brownies and cookies and water back there, so feel free to hang out for a little while. Let's be sure to thank our council members for being brave enough to let's thank the committee for their office staff.
When I heard that you were having a town meeting organized by citizens, and I was asked would I come here, of course, given the status, the situation in the city, I wanted to come with a flak jacket, but I would say you guys did a great job pulling this together, pulling it together, and it's a shame not more representatives as Roger Brown and Kim and I are here to listen to you. So I apologize for the rest of the time to hear what you have to say.
Thank you, sir.